What?
Happy 4th of July, Cindy. Oh, it's here. The white stuff.
Well, it's about time, though.
Yeah, we need it. I don't really want it, but it's not that bad either. Fire feels good. Morning, folks. Well, the first check on the the Crab Walk culvert for the Beaver, and nothing. Kind of surprised, actually. I figured for sure I'd have at least one of them today. But they've only been out overnight. It might take a couple of days. The landowner here was able a while back to somehow reach in there with his backhoe and pull that old dam out. They had it plugged within about a foot of the top of this culvert. I think he used a chain and a hook or something and just pulled it out of there with that. But anyway, now that the dam is gone, they might have moved on. This leads right into the river. But I don't know. Leave them here for a while and see what happens. Might not catch anything here at all. These woolly booger worms, the thinner the stripe in the middle, the longer the winter. This one's got a decent stripe, but I've been seeing some that are all black. So I think it's going to be kind of a bad one this year. Hope I'm wrong. Do you folks believe in telling weather by signs? All my life I've been watching these things, and there's lots of them. Grandma Thomas, she was big on that stuff, and more often than not she was right when she'd tell you the way the weather was going to be. And woolly worms is a big one. We've been watching those, well, geez, as far back as I can remember. And generally, they're pretty close to right. This year, our woolly worms had a real skinny stripe, which means a bad winter. And the front end was longer than the back end. So that usually means a bad winter, and it's going to be early. Not this year. We got snow, but it's melting already. So I mean, the amount of fat a deer has on it, whether or not a squirrel's tail's bushy, and different birds coming and going or not coming and going when they're supposed to, and there's all sorts of different things to watch for. Generally, they're pretty close. But like I said, this year, everything was pointing at a hard winter, and boy, so far it sure hasn't been. So now I'm not sure. I got to studying up on some of this, and we were seeing some of them woolly worms that didn't have a stripe at all, which I thought was a terrible bad sign. But it kind of looks like that is probably a different type of moth after all. I thought they were all the same, but I guess not. So the ones that are all black or all blonde, which I don't recall ever seeing an all blonde one, they're a different moth, different worm. The black ones with the stripe in the middle that I call woolly worm, I guess they turn into a Isabella moth. I had to look that up. I never wondered what they turned into before. So this is what they look like if I can find the picture again. Now Hillbilly's moths, he had a whole handful of them, and his were all pointing at a pretty mild winter. So maybe mine are just liars, I don't know. How much fat a deer has on it is normally pretty reliable, but Didn't get a deer this year, so not sure on that one. But I don't know. I saw a blue heron today. I see more of them in the winter than I do in the summer. They're here once in a while, but mostly they don't come in the winter. And until I saw one today, I didn't realize they're kind of late getting here this year. Been seeing a few snow geese. I normally don't see them for a little later though, so I don't know. Not sure really what to think. Can't find my little hatchet. I got an axe around here somewhere, but this one's kind of big for putting kindling. Now, anyway, I don't know what to think. Maybe there is something to this whole climate change, global warming thing. I don't think people are doing it overly. Maybe we're helping it along a little bit, but I think it's just kind of a cycle the world goes through. We've been kind of in between ice ages and hot spells ever since people have been around. So maybe it's time for something new. A lot of traffic on this road today. Normally there isn't. Not sure what they're doing. Grocery store had pig ribs on sale. Cindy's volunteered to work a day at the Rags and Wags, they call it. It's that little animal shelter run second-hand store where I found all those tools cheap, and everything they got there is good price and good place. But all the money they make there, everybody that works there is volunteer, and all the money they make there goes back to buying dog, cat food, stuff like that, and probably the spaying and neutering and all that stuff. But it all goes back to the animal shelter. And kind of funny here with last year's health problems, she decided she wasn't going to work anymore. So what she do? She goes and volunteers. Works for a job that ain't paying her. But it's only one day a week, pretty much. She's they had this last, I think it was Saturday, they had a Christmas sale, bazaar thing, and she helped with that, but generally she's only been working on Monday a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours a day, so that ain't so bad. But anyhow, what I brought all that up for was figured I'd surprise her and cook up some pig ribs. They ought to at least be started by the time she comes home. She'll probably surprise me and say, oh, I already had something out. I guess if she does, I can cook these up and then heat them up tomorrow. This is kind of a neat little barbecue. They make fancier ones. This was a cheap one. But you got this little firebox, and then you got the big firebox. And you can start a fire in this one, smoke things in this one, without any fire in here at all. Or you can put briquettes or something in the bottom of this one and use it as a regular barbecue. Smoked ribs sounded pretty good, but all I really got for smoking wood's pine. I don't know, I had some apple wood, but I don't see it anymore. Must have used that all up. Pine isn't the best for smoking, but it'll work. I'm a terrible cook. Matter of fact, I can't cook. I can burn food a little bit here and there, and like barbecue, but never really had to. When I was growing up, Mom did most of the cooking. Dad did a little bit now and then. And then, after I left home, I went to Alaska and worked for a salmon cannery up there, and they had a cook shack, so I didn't have to do it then. Got back from there and did a lot of ranch work. What's this big noisy thing? Helicopter maybe, I don't know. Anyway, did a lot of ranch work, and they always had a cookhouse, and so what in the world is this? It's loud. Yeah, it's a helicopter, probably life flight. Find him here. There he goes. Lucky for me, Cindy is a really good cook and she likes to do it, so otherwise I'd be eating hot dogs and ramen noodles most of my life. Frozen pizzas, I'm good at making those. Like I say, I can do this kind of thing, but I've boiled Cindy's cook pots dry and ruined her good copper pans more than once. But one of the funniest ones, she was working at a little feed store in town, and of course I was taking care of the fairgrounds here, and it was lunchtime. She should be home here pretty soon, so I threw a couple of hot dogs on the barbecue, and we had a gas grill, you know, and threw a couple of hot dogs on there, and she should be home any minute, you know, and she's not home, and pretty soon the phone rings, and she says, well, I'm broke down, and come get me with a tow strap. And so I went into town to go and find her, and went to the auto parts store, and we messed around there and tried to figure out what it was, and ended up towing the truck home and parked it in the driveway, and I crawled underneath, and I'm still looking, trying to figure out what the problem is. And I come into the house, and I'm sitting in the house and thinking, I'm kind of hungry. My hot dogs. It's been like 3 hours probably. And them hot dogs, they were as black as a car tire. And they looked like hot dog shaped briquettes. And I mean, it was bad. They were completely cremated. I tossed them to the dogs, and then when they hit the ground, the thing broke into about 6 pieces, and the dogs looked at that and looked at me like, what are we supposed to do with that? We ain't eating that. Venison, I bet the pig doesn't know. That ought to work just fine, I think. It's a smoking now. Temperature's starting to climb. It's up about 200 degrees. Ought to be tasty. So a few days ago, down here on the fairgrounds, I saw what I thought was a snow goose. And it didn't look quite right. It's mostly gray, and I got a picture on here I'll put on here, but never seen one like that before. Most of the time when I see snow geese, though, they're farther away than this. In fact, I don't think I've ever been that close to one before. But he didn't look like a snow goose. I thought shoulda. You know, I had to look him up in the bird book too. And it says it's an immature one. He's still got a lot of gray on him. So that makes me kind of think that it was hatched out. It had to be hatched out, you know, summertime. And where do the snow geese go in the summertime? Do they go up north, or do they go up there in the wintertime? I'm thinking they're probably up there in the summertime. I don't know. But if he was hatched out toward the tail end of summer, isn't that kind of not normal either? Seems like they ought to be hatching them out more around spring, but I don't know much about geese. I don't like the way they taste. I don't hunt them much, but it kind of makes me wonder. I don't know. Something seems kind of strange this year. I guess it's just mainly because the winter's so slow in coming. I don't know. "250 degrees now." Smoke's kind of thinning out a little bit, but they look good. Well, I wish I had something besides just pine to cook this with, but that's what I got. I guess that's what I'll use. Applewood, hickory, something like that would be better, but I don't have none of that. They ought to be alright. Uh-oh. Here comes Cindy. This ain't ready yet. It's supposed to be a surprise. Oh, anyway, these look like they're about done. Hopefully I'll end up with that beaver in the morning. I was kind of surprised they didn't have him tonight, but they might not have stuck around. That water level dropped probably close to 3 feet after he pulled that dam out of there. They might have headed for the river or gone someplace else. They might not even be there now, but maybe they are, and I'll have them tomorrow. We'll see, huh? Thanks for watching, folks, and see you next time.